Welcome to Lunch with the Lord. I'm Pastor Mark. We're going to be finishing our series of lessons on the rich young ruler and eternal life this lesson. But before we begin, Jeremiah 15:16, thy words were found, and I did eat them, and thy word was unto me the joy and the rejoicing of my heart. Now, as we finish up this section, the Gospel of Matthew adds one more parable to Jesus' lesson about the rich young ruler and eternal life. And that is the parable which is known as the laborers in the vineyard. All right, the laborers in the vineyard. We see this in Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 through 16. And I'm not going to go into a great detail in this parable, but there are a few things I do want to say concerning this parable. But this parable, actually, Jesus is using this parable that he teaches to answer Peter's question in Matthew chapter 19 and verse 27. It says in chapter 19, verse 27, then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore, right? What shall we have? Because we've forsaken all and followed you, Lord. So this parable will describe the basis on which rewards will be given out. So what's the basis? What's the basis of the rewards that God gives out to people? How are they given out? We're going to see that here in Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 through 16. And it says here, for the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour, and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. And again he went out about the 6th and the 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, why do you stand here idle? They said unto him, because no man has hired us. And he saith unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall you receive. And when the evening was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto the steward, call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed they should receive more, and they received likewise every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour, and you have made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, friend, I do thee no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a penny? Take what is yours, and go your way, and I will give unto this last even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Is your eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few are chosen. Now, what Jesus was teaching was that God is both fair and gracious. The owner of the vineyard had a right to do what he did when hiring the laborers, right? He had a right to do whatever he wanted to. The responsibility of the workers was to go and work in the vineyard, and the owner would be fair and gracious to pay each one. The laborers were also to work to please him who hired them, not to work with their own mind on the money, or with their mind on what others will get. God can be trusted to be gracious and fair. Another way we see this parable is that in verse 2, the laborers were promised a penny a day. These men had a set amount already determined. Right? He says, verse 2, and when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. So that the amount was already determined. And this is like people who are related to God through the law. But, so the people that had a set amount guaranteed them are like people who are related to God through the law. But in verses 3 and 5 and 6, these laborers had not been given a set amount. Therefore, they are pictured as being related to God by grace and by trust. The first ones had a set amount, a penny. The rest of them said, I will give to you what is right, right? The workers of verse 2 were trusting in the word of the employer, while those workers of verses 3, 5, and 6 trusted in the grace and fairness of the employer. Now, discontent seems to be the prominent sin of this parable. The workers of verse 2 did not like the graciousness and the fairness of the employer in verses 10 through 12, right? Verses 10 through 12, it says, but when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, said, you have made the last ones, you have made those that have worked only 1 hour equal with us. So it seems that discontentment seems to be the primary sin concerning this parable. The attitude that says, well, look at all that I have gave up, right? And for all of these years, it would have been easy for the disciples to say to Jesus, for 3 years we've given up our lives and followed you, right? Look at all that we've given up for you. And that's the same attitude which casts a dark shadow over all their service and their discipleship for God. Right? I don't know if you served with somebody in church or whatever, or if you work with somebody, somebody at work, and all they think about is what they're going to get, all the years they've spent here or the time spent, and they better be good to me. I've been here for 35 years, or I've been here for 21 and a half years, and I'm the longest tenured person here. I better be treated well, right? And this is kind of the attitude. And sometimes you see that even in the church. I've been teaching Sunday school here now for 17 years, right? And it's like, you get the idea, God better be extra special good to me. I've been here 17 years teaching Sunday school. Or I've been singing in the choir now for 19 and a half years, right? And they feel like God owes them something because they've been so faithful to God in that service. And it's this attitude of, I've given up all of this for the church. What am I going to get? And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be, I've given up this, and God better be gracious and he better give me an abundant supply of blessings for this, Regardless of how long you have served the Lord and all that you have forsaken for the Lord, trust in the goodness of God, that he will be fair and gracious to all. Look, this is God's world. This is God's universe. He made it, right? He designed it and he made it. And we had no say in it. But God can do with it what he wants. And if he wants to, if you've been saved for 40 years and you witness to someone and they get saved, and maybe a week later after they get saved they die, and then you die and you go to heaven and you see them getting the same rewards as you got for 40 years of your time with God. Look, that's just God being gracious to all. He can do what he wants with what he has, and it's all belongs to him. And we just need to trust in the graciousness and the fairness of God, that he will bless his people. But in the end, God, it belongs to God, and he can do with it what he wants. And we just serve God. Just trust in God's heart. Trust in God's heart for him to reward you and to hand out blessings to you for your time that you've been with him, time that you've given. And we're not in this, we're not serving God for what we can get from God or get out of God, but just to enjoy him and to love him. And when we do, those are the times where we're getting greatly blessed by him. All right, we're going to start verse 32 next lesson, and we're dealing with Jesus again foretells his crucifixion. He tells his disciples about his upcoming crucifixion, but that'll be next lesson, all right? Until then, walk with the Lord. I know he walks with you.